I think we talked about this before. The problem for the OneCoin investors who did not understand any of the tech, of any of it, like they weren't crypto investors at all. They just had heard about Bitcoin in the newspaper or something, and their friend told them that they're in on the next big thing. Because they just would look around and see everyone calling everything a scam.
Yeah.
So when people would call OneCoin a scam, they'd be like, yeah, but whatever, you call Ethereum a scam. So what's the difference? So that's why the language is quite important about, like, that's a pump and dump scam. This could be accountancy fraud, not actually really a scam on an exchange site. This could be, a good idea, like you said, or a bad idea, but that some people do believe in. That's not quite the same. So you got to be really precise with the language on this. Otherwise, it ends up, unfortunately, sucking a load of people into actual scams. Definitely is. I mean, the Frank Schneider interview was really interesting because, for anyone that doesn't know, Frank Schneider is a former top spy for Luxembourg. He's a top European Union spy. He was director of operations at SREL. And in Luxembourg, they do sort of specialise in a lot of financial crime as well, given where they are. So we're talking about someone that really knows how to spot deception. And he is in the process of being indicted by the Department of Justice in the US for his role in the OneCoin scam, for money laundering and wire fraud.
Wasn't he actually indicted today or yesterday?
It was a new indictment was published. It was a superseding indictment. So he'd already been indicted. He was arrested to great fanfare in France. He's under house arrest at the moment. And then a new indictment, for reasons I don't really understand actually why they put a new indictment out. But a superseding indictment was yesterday, I think it was. It came out. So they want him, and he's got one more appeal left to run, but it looks likely he will be indicted. But I suppose that interview was interesting because he was under house arrest when I interviewed him. He's got an ankle bracelet on. It was a really weird thing to do. But the very specific thing that for me was most interesting about that is I said, Frank, you're a spy, you're trained in deception, and how comes you didn't spot this? Oh, blockchain's complicated, it's confusing, I don't understand the technology. All right, leave that to one side. That's your dad's argument. I understand that. But I did say, you're increasing the supply by a factor of 50 because Ruja built a new blockchain and she increased the supply by a factor of 50. She said the price is going to remain exactly the same, €5.95, which to me, that's real alarm bells. And he said, but I don't understand any of the technology. And I just thought, it's not really about the technology though. Was this not very, very suspicious general behaviour for you as a spy, for someone to have done something like this? Isn't this basic economics? Wasn't this enough to make you really concerned that maybe the price of OneCoin was just fixed and fake?
What was his job for her?
Different people say different things. I mean, technically he was brought in as he ran a private intelligence company called Sandstone in Luxembourg. So he was kind of managing her some of her security, some of her PR and reputational stuff. But he's often described by others as a sort of all-round fixer, someone that sorted things out for her. I don't really know what that means exactly, to be honest. But it was just a good example for me of where sometimes people allow themselves to be baffled by the technology. They don't look at the fundamentals. I mean, it's a multi-level marketing company with a price that Ruja seemingly can just manipulate at will for a product that a lot of people are saying is fake. To me, that is enough for a professional person to say, I think I should probably step away from this. I had questions. I mean, the thing is, it's a sort of strategic ignorance, I think. Sometimes people just don't want to ask certain questions.
Especially if you're being well paid.
When you're being well paid, exactly. And that is what people like Ruja do, and what they understand, that you pay someone a lot of money, they won't always ask difficult questions. When is someone a co-conspirator? I mean, look, Frank Schneider hasn't been charged or found guilty yet, or hasn't been convicted of any of this yet. So let's see. I mean, and he is being charged with money laundering offences and wire fraud. So the FBI are alleging that he was somehow quite actively involved in the promotion of this, in making this company really function and moving money around for Ruja and concealing its origins and purpose. So that's a slightly different thing from Frank, you should have known. That's not really so much of a question of legality. That's more a sort of moral question. Like, Frank, come on, you should have got this. Like, why did you miss this? Everything, all your skills and experience. So, I'm not saying that just his ignorance was criminal. There are other charges that he's got. But I think in law they talk about known or should have known. Like with the weight of evidence and the information you had, you should have reasonably known what was going on. But I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really answer that properly. Definitely, I think the general thinking on this is that her brother, I mean, at the moment they've got her brother, he's pleaded guilty. They've got her lover, he's pleaded guilty and works with them. Her investment manager, he was found guilty, although he's appealing, he's asking for a retrial. Her co-founder of OneCoin, Sebastian Greenwood, he is awaiting charge at the moment. He's awaiting trial at the moment. And now they're going after her senior advisor, Frank Schneider, this Luxembourg spy. These are really the sort of top people. It's just her. She's the only one left. But the big thing that's happened since we spoke is that the FBI put her on their 10 most wanted list, which shows they really do want to get her.
What was it? A $5,000 reward, which
no, that was the Europol.
Yeah,
Europol put her on their top 10 most wanted list, or their most wanted list. They don't have a top 10, their most wanted list. And then about 2 weeks later, the FBI puts her on their most wanted list, but they offer $100,000 reward.
When we saw that we heard that $5,000, well, 5,000 euros, we're like, huh?
Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? But the thing is that even the $100,000 reward from the FBI is an interesting number, because they know, like, if she's being protected by some wealthy oligarch, they know $100,000 isn't going to mean anything. What I think they're going after are people that work in the ports in the Mediterranean, the people that work in the shops that might have spotted her, the people that work on yachts and boats, the catering crew or whatever, people for whom $100,000 would actually make a real difference in their lives and would be enough for them to basically quit their jobs and disappear for a while. So that's why I think they've chosen $100,000. I asked the FBI about it because I interviewed them for it. And they sort of hinted at that. But is she the only crypto scammer on the FBI's list? She's presumably the only crypto scammer that's ever been on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Technical guys, it's drug dealers and all the rest of it on the dark net. So I've created something better. It's called OneCoin. It's really simple, easy to use. Bitcoin's got this decentralized blockchain, which means it's never going to be controllable, but I've built a centralized blockchain so I can reverse transactions and stuff like that.
The irony of that statement.
I know, but what you've got to remember is that for ordinary people, that kind of does make sense.
Yeah.
Like my mum would immediately think, yeah, that's better, because what happens when I get my Bitcoin stolen and they're gone forever? I don't want to, I've forgotten my password. What am I going to do? So she was trying to pitch this to ordinary people, non-technical, non-sophisticated investors. But she also sold it through multi-level marketing. So like Amway or Herbalife. You buy some OneCoin, then you sell it to your friends and family and you get a commission. So this thing then just takes off so quickly. And by 2017, she's got 1 million investors from 175 countries who've put in over 4 billion euros into this. The price of OneCoin keeps going up, but she keeps saying it's not available to trade yet on Kraken or Poloniex or one of these, or Binance, but it will be soon. That day never comes. October 2017, she gets a Ryanair flight from Sofia, Bulgaria to Athens, Greece, and just disappears into thin air. She's gone with at least 500 million of investors' money. That's what her brother says, but it could be more than that. And she's been missing ever since. I mean, and really, the whole thing is just a pyramid scheme. But she'd put crypto in there to make it seem new and original and fresh. And she captured all the hype of Bitcoin. Because every time the price of Bitcoin went up, these OneCoin investors would think, wow, I'm on the next one. Because they were so gutted they'd missed the first wave. And, back then, $500, it did feel like you'd missed it. It felt too late.
Shit.
If the people that had invested in OneCoin in 2015 had put it into Bitcoin, they actually would have got the money Ruja promised them. Weirdly enough. So she's been on the run ever since. It's just a gigantic pyramid scheme with all sorts of sort of organised crime and money laundering angles to the story as well. But at the centre of it, it's just this woman who built a very sophisticated scam and then disappeared with all the money. And then the FBI, finally put her on the 10 most wanted list just about 3 months ago.